love the flight school series that we did with Jay.
Oh man, absolutely.
You want to talk about value to the viewer? I mean, that is a very well-run school, and if you're wanting to learn to fly, all the information in those episodes, incredible.
Was it 3 or 4 episodes of we went through every aspect of like picking a flight school, the instructor, the airplane. We picked those guys' ears for a while. And,
yes.
Hello, aviators. Welcome back to the Pro Pilot Playbook Podcast, where we bring you the tips, tricks, hacks, and shortcuts to get you into a cockpit faster and cheaper. If you've ever thought about becoming a professional pilot, you are in the right place. And I'm your co-host, Sean Richey.
Yeah, and I'm Mike Martin, and we've got a kind of a cool episode that we're going to do today. We're going to give ourselves a little pat on the back. We've reached 100 episodes. So the last one that we just published was episode 100, and this is our episode 101. Now we've got a lot of shorts and different bonus episodes and everything, but true podcast episodes. We've reached 100. We've been doing this for years. We're really proud of it. And we've got a special treat for you today. So what we're going to do is, this is not necessarily by views, but we're going to reflect on, of the 100 episodes, what are some of the episodes that we liked, a little behind the scenes, we like doing and we recommend that you should watch. Now, it's not going to be our top 10 most viewed episodes, because most of you have probably already seen this. These are some of the lesser known episodes that maybe the algorithm didn't bring up, or maybe they're even in some cases on somebody else's channel, whatever. But we're going to Sean and I are going to get in conversation on what episodes we like and kind of reflect on that. And then maybe if some of those catch your eye, you can go back and watch those.
Yeah. Kind of like some favorites here.
Yeah.
And, the show is kind of morphed into, I mean, just full disclosure, I'll go ahead and say it. I think we've said this before. We started this podcast. This whole thing was just to bring visibility to the actual product that we sell, the Pro Pilot Playbook Career Development Program, where we basically walk you through how to manage your career in the fastest, cheapest means possible, from the very beginning of not knowing the front of an airplane to the back of the airplane, never even driving to the airport before, to the point of examples of what your resume should look like, and a list of operators across the country to where you can go knock on people's doors and get a job. Basically, it's a whole kit and caboodle package in a box of becoming a pilot in the fastest and cheapest means possible.
Totally.
But the podcast has morphed into its own animal here. And I think you can get just as much value from the podcast as our product. It's just the product has everything in a nice, organized, streamlined package with a bow on top. But yeah, the show is, we get so many comments, and you guys can see the comments on YouTube, but the stuff you don't see are all the emails that we get constantly. Some of this stuff, man, it puts a lump in my throat, Mike. I read these people's stories of how we're actually helping people. Yeah. And I don't know, it makes me feel good. And that's what keeps us going on here.
Absolutely. And we're going to continue to bring everyone great content.
Yeah. Yep. But you're absolutely right, Mike. We've been doing this since, I think we started the podcast in 2019, and 100 episodes, and some of the ones that have been our favorites have not necessarily been the ones that have been that popular.
Right.
So
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do we got? We told each other, just for the viewer watching this, we told each other to make a list. I got a piece of scrap mail, junk mail here. Make a list of our favorites on this, and not we haven't told each other what these are.
Haven't. Yeah, we haven't.
So we're just gonna, and some of them may be the same, but we're going to go through these and whatever. We'll talk about a little bit of what we got here. So what's your first one there, Mike?
So the first one that comes to mind for me, and it's not necessarily my favorite, but when this came up, what is a fun episode that we did that you really enjoyed doing and everything, is the side hustle episode. I really like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Was that on your list?
No, it wasn't, but it almost was. I started writing it. I'm like, I know Mike's going to do that.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's been such a uh, huge part of my life being a professional pilot and then having all this off time and being able to do other business endeavors and being able to essentially have 2 or 3 or 4 careers or multiple businesses at the same time and really leverage your time is really one of the greatest things for me about choosing a career in aviation. And when we made that, it's episode 50. If you guys haven't seen it, we talk about some of our other business endeavors. Mine is real estate investing, real estate sales, rental management, Airbnb management. And Sean, he does salons and a number of different things, really, really cool things. And we got to kind of tell our viewers, hey, this is what we also do. And obviously this podcast is an extra thing that we get to do that if we were 9-to-5ers, we wouldn't have a chance to really do. So that was a really fun episode to make, and I think it really resonated with what I wanted to get across to our viewers on some of the potential things that they could do later in their career.
That was a great episode, and I think that one got a lot of great comments too. And it's spas, not salons. Salons, that's where women get their hair done.
Sorry.
Float spas,
yes.
Basically the sensory deprivation therapy is one of my side hustles.
And cold plunge.
Yeah. We got the cold plunge, red light therapy, saunas, steam room. Anyway,
they're very nice too, by the way.
Yeah, it is a pretty cool thing to do, but we're not unique in that. That was the whole point of that episode, was getting across to people that as even a corporate pilot or an airline pilot, a professional pilot in general, you're a high income earner that has a lot of free time to do this stuff. Now, you're going to work with guys your whole life in this career who don't do anything with that free time, but sit on the couch watching Netflix, eating potato chips.
Right.
But for those who want to do something more, I know guys that have all kinds of stuff, from owning fast food restaurants to whatever. I got a guy who does, he has a boat repair shop. So he's working on people's boats when he's not flying. I've known mortgage brokers, tons of real estate guys. Everybody's got rental properties. Yeah. If you're a professional pilot and don't have a couple rental properties, you're doing something wrong. I mean, it is a unique career field. And, my sons, when they were younger, I remember them at one point, the conversation, the exact details I've lost, but it was something to do with, Daddy, why do you do this or that and whatever? And Billy across the street's dad doesn't. I'm like, well, because Billy's dad works from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. When he gets home from work, he's exhausted. He's there every day. And, I haven't worked in 8 days, but I'm still getting paid. Right. So I can either sit around or I can buy this next rental house or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a great job for that. And that episode you're speaking of really gets into the nitty gritty of that.
Yep. So what was your first one, Sean?
The first one I wrote down, this is probably truly my favorite episode we did. Not only is it an awesome story, but it's loaded with valuable information. And that's episode 58, the Chris Fisher story.
Oh, yeah.
The rescue swimmer who used the VA flight benefits to get all his flight training done. And it's my favorite for a couple different reasons. First of all, this guy, I think he reached out to us and emailed us. But if you guys haven't seen that movie, there's a movie on rescue swimmers with Kevin Costner and the kid from that 70s show, Ashton Kutcher. Ashton actually plays the lead role in it, whose name, it's a true story, named Chris Fisher. So I just thought it was really crazy that this Chris Fisher, also a rescue swimmer, which you're talking about, this is a small career field. There's probably only 200 of those guys in the Coast Guard.
Right.
Tops.
Right. Yeah.
So for there to be another one who's named Chris Fisher, after the famous one in the movie. That was interesting. But Chris goes through this whole thing on how to use your VA benefits. And it's a lot of detailed information on how to use those benefits. And he tells some cool stories of, when he was in the military and there was a storm coming in and, real rescue. And I personally thought it was probably one of our best episodes ever. It didn't get a lot of hits or views because it is a little lengthy. It was, I think around an hour, maybe longer. Yep. And, folks like the shorter episodes, I think, but definitely check that one out. Number 58, the Chris Fisher story.
I love that episode also. And he was just a great guy. And, he probably generated the most contacts that we have for an episode. So we don't give away. If you want to speak with someone in one of our podcasts, obviously we won't provide their information, but what we will do, if you email us and say, hey, I'd really like to get a hold of Chris Fisher, we just forward the email to them and leave it up to them to get back to you if they're not busy or whatever. And I know Chris has reached out to several of our viewers and really helped them out. So he's just a great guy. And that was a great video.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't necessarily high on the charts of views, but for the responses, the folks sending in the emails, that out of all the interviews we've done, he has definitely got the most emails of us forwarding on their contact.
Yeah. And, as far as the next one I'll talk about, as far as excitement for me, and I have no idea how the video is done so far, because it hasn't been released yet at the time of us recording this, but episode 100 is interviewing Grant Cardone's pilot. And to me, that was a really exciting interview for me to do. And now that we're gaining some traction in the aviation space, we're able to do these collaborations and all of this stuff with people because, we have a lot of viewers and we have a bigger audience, and that's really great. And, he has an incredible story, and Sean and I had followed him online, where he transitioned from, being an airline pilot to being a corporate pilot, but being a corporate pilot to somebody that he specifically wanted to work for. And then using his connections as a corporate pilot and his influence, he was able to, work for that individual and become a high-powered executive, so to speak. So I really enjoyed meeting him, and we're making a lot of friends doing what we're doing. And, we've kept the relationship up even since the podcast. So that was a really great one to do. And I'm sure most people watching this may have seen it because it's the episode right before this one.
It would have came out last week or about a week and a half ago when this is airing.
You got it. Yeah.
But I mean, the power of, I don't know if we explicitly said it in this manner, but Ryan's corporate pilot's position landed him such a great, true corporate job as a C-level employee, that he has basically quit flying now. I mean, like, he's running the company. Like,
right.
That's the power of one of these corporate pilot positions. You're surrounded by, those type of people all day long. You interact with them. And if you're somebody that's got your head screwed on straight, the possibilities are endless.
Heck yeah. What do you got, Sean? What else?
One of my favorite ones, because I think we really went into it with a nuts and bolts type of, we weren't just talking about it. We were actually talking about how to do it. And that's episode 79, how to get your instrument rating in 10 days.
Oh yeah.
With Daniel Smucker was the name of the guy.
Very good.
And he was, if you haven't checked that episode out, if you're a private pilot getting ready to start working on that instrument soon, definitely check out Daniel's story. Daniel had an older brother who was a CFI, and I'm trying to remember this part of the story, but he knew that this type of thing existed and was possible. I don't know, either from us talking about it or just, putting it all together himself, looking at the requirements. And he had a very small window to get his instrument rating done. And he called his brother on the other side of he was out west, and he called his brother up over in Pennsylvania somewhere who had access to the school's airplanes and whatnot. And, concocted this whole thing where he was going to show up, and in 2 weeks he wanted to go home with his instrument rating, and his brother, the CFI, was like, can't be done. You're dreaming. It can't be done. Well, it was done, and it was done. I think his check ride was a couple days after, but he was check ride ready within 9 days or something. But
yes,
that whole philosophy is what the Pro Pilot Playbook is built on. That is a major portion of what you're buying when you buy our course, and is that philosophy and the know-how to be able to do that. And Daniel put this together basically himself and did it to the point where now his plan was to go back out west once he got his CFI certificate. We need to have him back on the show. He was going to create his own flight school, go off on his own, and basically build an accelerated school like this. And, fill the need of the market. That's how you make money in the world, right? Fill a need that's not being filled. And that's what his plan is. But I really like that, because it wasn't just us talking about what he did. We talked about how he did it.
Yes. Love it.
And that is one of the products that's coming to our website here very soon, is a course plan that you'll be able to purchase with a breakdown day by day of how you can get your instrument rating in 10 days, your private pilot in 21 days, commercial pilot 3 days, 3 to 5. But basically it'll read just like day one, blah, 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 blah. Those action items for the student, action items for the instructor, things that need to be done, prerequisite, examiner scheduled and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to be a game plan for anybody that wants to do this. We're going to have this available for folks here real soon.
Yeah, that's great, Sean. And I love that episode, because it brings up two things that this thing has kind of evolved in. That guest was a very high quality guest that we interviewed, and he reached out to us, so some of our best interviews now are people that have an exciting story to tell, or something that they think would bring value to their viewers. He simply reached out to us and said, hey, I did this. I think other pilots can learn from this. Please have me on. And we're like, yeah, great. And it worked out wonderful. So if you're watching and you've done something inspirational, or you've done something, unique, not even unique, you just have a great story to tell, a success story. Well, I mean, we'd love to have you on, and we love, we've done several interviews now of pilots that have been through the process. One of us, another great video is, the guy that went from 0 hours to CFI so quickly, and he was in our coaching program. And that one was very great, because we just basically watched him grow right before our very eyes. He signed up for our coaching program with no hours, and then we kind of helped him along in Pennsylvania find a flight school and all that. I don't have that one.
Yeah, I believe the title of that was like 0 to CFI with 51 grand in less than 6 months or something like that.
Yeah. It's with Colin, and I don't have that one on my list. I kind of riffed that one out, but yeah, love doing that. We have another person in our coaching that's now, flying Lears down in Florida. So he's agreed to come on. We're going to have that video coming up. Really, really exciting to see actual results. So you as a viewer can say, this guy just started, he did it this way, and I can do it too. Wonderful.
Both of the two people you just mentioned, that's probably a good thing to point out, not to make this some salesy type thing, because that's not what this is about whatsoever.
Right.
But both of those individuals you just mentioned, both of them were in the coaching program, where they speak to us weekly. And it is kind of cool. We watch these guys go from being babies, not even, private pilot. I think one of them had their private. But the other one, Colin, from literally zero to CFI. And Colin came out and flew with me in the jet.
Yes.
Being in the coaching program actually led to me. I had an empty leg in the jet. Yep. And we reached out to Colin, and, he lived in the area. He had the airline home. But yeah, he got his first ride in the jet with me, which was really cool.
Right.
I mean, seeing the look on somebody's face, Mike, when they're sitting in the cockpit of the jet for the first time, rolling down the runway at 3 times, 4 times the speed they're usually used to lifting off. I mean, it's the same as taking somebody for their first airplane ride.
Oh, incredible. Incredible. So yeah, really good, man. Really good. So some
What
other
else you
ones,
got?
yeah, on my list. This was one that I really liked. I actually think it's our first ever interview that we did. It's episode
Oh.
number 52. It's the Porsche Lippincott story. One of the
Oh,
lowest
yeah.
views. Yeah, one of the lowest views of any of our videos. And that's because this is a mechanic video. But I still think it's inspiring for pilots. So I'll put that out there. A lot of people may not have clicked on it because it was a mechanic. But I actually I found her. I was on the internet, YouTube, late at night watching aviation stuff, and a video came up that had like 10 million views, and it was a news story from Oklahoma, and it was just a 1 or 2 minute segment explaining how this girl was actually homeless, and this incredible story.
She was living in a box or a dumpster or something behind a fast food restaurant.
Yes.
I mean, her whole story, Porsche's gone from nothing to being a very successful, I think she's an instructor now at that school. I mean, it's like one little tiny snippet away. It could be like a Netflix documentary.
It really could.
Like her story.
Yeah. And she fixed her own car because she had no money and it broke down. And then she realized she was mechanically inclined, and then got some help through some government programs and got her A&P license, and then worked for the Air Force, and the rest is history. You'll have to watch it. But even if you don't want to be an aviation mechanic, maybe you've thought about it. I mean, I think most of us coming up as pilots considered maybe getting into aviation maintenance. So it's interesting. And, it's just an inspiring story. You look at somebody with $0, literally not living, in a box, achieves all of this. It's really an inspiring story. So I'd encourage people to dig that one out. I was surprised. I thought that would have went viral, that video. I was surprised.
Yeah, I thought so too, just for the fact of how good of a story it is, somebody that doesn't even care. You could take her philosophy of what she did with her life and apply it to anything, from being a pilot to if you wanted to be a surgeon, a brain surgeon. I mean, it's literally like she followed all the rules of just making stuff happen in your life. And that's step one, is figure out what the hell is it you want in great detail, figure it out, and work backwards from there.
Yeah.
There are ways to do anything. I mean, if you want to be a damn astronaut, it's possible.
Yeah.
it can be done. People do it.
Yep. So what else you got on your list, Sean?
So this one is another one, and I'm going to be shocked if you don't. You know what? No. I'm going to say this one, and that's episode number. It's actually 2 different episodes. We did it the first time, which was episode number 12, and then we came back again in episode number 54, and that's skipping your CFI. Episode 54 was the interview with who I call my work son, Jordan, my co-pilot, who's now a captain. He's a sovereign captain at our company, and he flies that sovereign all over the place. He just got back from Turks and Caicos the other day. He was down in the Bahamas a couple weeks ago, and he's off on that thing being a captain now. No longer my co-pilot. He's still my work son, though.
Yeah, that
I'm his work dad. Video. But that episode, we break down one of the philosophies we talk about in the actual program we sell, and it's actually a whole module in the program we sell, and it works on the idea that traditionally being a certificated flight instructor is one of the rungs on the ladder of becoming a professional pilot. Your first real job as a professional pilot is to teach other people how to fly. The idea is you never really learn anything until you have to teach somebody else what you're trying to do.
Yep.
And which is true, but not everybody should be a teacher. Not everybody's good at that. Maybe you're in an area where there isn't any students or there isn't any flight schools. So it may not be the best for you. So we introduce some alternatives to it. And some of them are, significantly better than being a CFI anyway. And what Jordan's story was in episode 54 was skipping the CFI to go sit right seat in a jet. Jordan got his CFI and basically never used it because ran into one of the people that works at the company I work at, and we snagged him up, and he started riding right seat in some of these light jets and worked his way up, and we eventually got him a type rating. And yeah, he went I think he had around 300 hours when he first sat down in a jet and never went back to a little single engine. An incredible story, but anybody can do that, and we teach you how.
Yeah, I love those videos, Sean, and really some behind the scenes on that. Those two videos, really the first one, skipping your CFI, that was what really propelled our channel. That was our first video to go kind of aviation viral, and just got a ton of views and really boosted everything and really gave us the boost to kind of take this channel to the next level. So that was just great, So really enjoyed making that one. And we don't advocate. Sometimes the haters put in the comments,
right.
Oh, I learned so much. Telling someone to skip their CFI is horrible advice. You call yourself professionals. Well, if you actually watch the video, we don't advocate for it. We're just offering it as an option. We actually, in our course and everything we preach, we recommend you get your CFI. It's just, this is an alternative, and some people do really well at it. So yeah, check out that video if you haven't already seen it. The next one
it's one of my, well, real quick.
Yeah.
It's just one of my favorites because it is one of the things in our program, but it's just an awesome story that most people don't even understand that that's an option.
Right.
And you're right. If everybody did that, there wouldn't be anybody to teach people how to fly airplanes.
You're right,
so
man.
Obviously we're not telling everybody to go do that.
Right.
I just I think it's a great story that, somebody has the ability at basically the time in your logbook where you don't know anything, and now you're being spun up to fly. You're legally able to do it, but you don't have any experience but you get spun up real fast when you start sitting in that jet every day.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go
No problem, man. We could go all night on this probably. We were like, this will be a short episode, but there's so much stuff. The next one I want to bring up because it was so fun for both of us. This is actually an episode that is not even on our channel. So, we're not out to drive, that we're not out just to drive views to our channel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Sean and I got invited to be on a business podcast out in Vegas.
Oh,
yeah. And by a gentleman named Brad Lee, and it's Lea, Brad Lea, and his channel is called Brad Lee TV. But what's interesting about this guy, he's a businessman that Sean and I both follow, but he's so interconnected in the industry. He owns a company called Lightspeed that does marketing for all the big names, Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Cardone, all these, Ed Milet, these guys that are big business podcasters. This guy has the software that powers a lot of their stuff, and he's a really interesting guy. So we got to Sean. He's kind of like Rogan. You have to come to him in Vegas, and you have to go to his studio. Right. And really, that was the coolest part. Sean and I went out there. He has a green room that we got to sit in. That all these celebs signed the walls that were on his podcast. That Dan Pena was filming right after us. He came in right after us to do that, who's kind of famous in the business world.
The $1 billion man.
Yeah, the $1 billion man. And it was really a lot of fun. And, I think it's entertaining if you guys want to check it out.
It's hard not to have fun in Vegas, to begin with. But to be in that environment of like I don't know about you, Mike, but what I consider like a real podcast, like this is the real deal, man.
Yeah.
Look at it. We're in a studio.
So the episode is called Soaring Success, Insights into Piloting and Aviation Careers. And that's on Brad Lee TV. So yeah, if you get a chance, check that out. I'm
going to put a link to every one of these we're talking about in the description on the YouTube channel.
It's funny. It was our first ever Pro Pilot Playbook business trip. We also went to Miami too, and we did some things down there. And
oh yeah,
remember we jumped in the Uber, and the guy's like, "What do you guys do?" And well, we're here for work. And then you're like, "Well, what are you doing?" And we're like, "We're podcasters." And this was a good compliment. He goes, "Oh, are you guys fitness podcasters?" I'm like, "Well, shit. At least we look like we're in shape." We're like, "No,
right,
we do airplane stuff." But
yeah.
but it's funny. A lot of Uber drivers, and there's probably some watching it, aren't interested in learning to fly because it's transportation and all of that stuff. So yeah, we do get those guys and that subscribe.
I hear it a
stuff.
lot in Ubers and Lyfts. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a pilot.
Yep. So yeah, because it always comes up because you're usually going to the airport or you got your uniform on or something like that. But yeah, that was a fun one. So what else you got, Sean?
Yeah. All right. Here's another one. And we're getting close to time here. Maybe this will be the last one. Episode 65, How to Be a Fighter Pilot with my buddy, Major Aaron Warner. We sat here. Here's another one, Mike, one of our greatest interviews. We sat here and talked to this gentleman for over an hour. It probably didn't get all the views because it's a longer episode, but we are sitting here picking the ear of an F-16 pilot for over an hour. He's going over everything from the detailed details on becoming a fighter pilot to what it's like to fly the F-16,
awesome.
How it handles with armament, without armament, extra tanks, whatever, like getting into the nitty-gritty of all kinds of great stuff. And it didn't get the traction I thought it was going to get. I thought that was going to be one of our most popular episodes.
I know. And actually what's interesting is this is an inspiration. Sean and I just had a meeting with an editor today. That episode, and we think it was because the link didn't get any views. So what we're going to kind of do is what Rogan does and Patrick Bet-David and some of these guys, where they have a longer video and then they condense it into not shorts like your TikTok shorts, but like it'll be a 15-minute video where it'll be an exchange on an important question. And we're gonna that's one of the ones we're gonna do. We're gonna break that up and drop
That'd be
it.
a great one. Yeah.
11, 12-minute segments because we that one was so good and nobody really watched it really. So, this whole YouTube thing and what people watch and they don't, it's surprising sometimes to us. Still a mystery, but totally agree. And I know this is going a little long, so I'll just kind of the rest of the ones on my list, I'll just kind of blow through real quick. But love the flight school series that we did with Jay.
That is absolutely.
You want to talk about value to the viewer. I mean, that is a very well-run school. And if you're wanting to learn to fly, all the information in those episodes, incredible.
Was it 3 or 4 episodes we went through every aspect of like picking a flight school, the instructor, the airplane. We picked those guys' ears for a while. And,
yes.
That's a lot of value.
Jamal Orr, who's now become a friend, and one of the greatest things about doing these podcasts and then doing this coaching is we actually make friends with these people. We connect with them outside of flying. I found Jamal. He did a video about ATP flight school on his channel. We had him on ours several times. His first video, I think, is number 76 or something. He talks about his experience at ATP. I met with him later in Reno. Just a great guy.
How to get your pilot's license with $0, I believe was the name of it.
Yeah. He's just a great guy. I love doing that one. The collaboration with Sporties is wonderful. We want to do some more stuff with them if you haven't seen that one. And then I really like the taking action videos that we do for the New Year's because of the comments we get. A lot of people that'll email us and they'll say, they've either got a jet job or they've quit their job and now they're flying and they're having a wonderful time. They say that those taking action videos where we tell you, hey, get off your ass and start flying. And here's why, have really inspired them. So I thought that meant a lot.
It's kind of our thing. We've been labeled a little bit, whatever. We get in the email, in the emails, people are like, just like you guys say, I've been taking action. And it's so true. It's not just with becoming a pilot. It's literally with anything in your life. There are people that talk shit and there's people that do shit.
That's well said.
So you're not going to feel like it if you want the feeling, you got to just get off your ass and do something. And then the feeling will come. You can't wait for the feeling. It works opposite of what your brain's trying to trick you into doing.
Totally agree.
And anyway, these comments come in, and we've been kind of labeled as the take action guys, which is fine. I love that.
Yeah. Hey, I've been labeled worse. Just kidding.
Yep. It's so important.
So that's
like Gary Vee says, these ideas are out there everywhere. Nobody's going to, you don't have to worry about somebody stealing your idea. Nobody's going to do anything.
Yeah.
You got to get off your butt and do it yourself.
Yeah, that's right, man. It's all about taking action, man. So what else is on your hit list, Sean? That's all I got.
The only other one I had written down here was it was episode number 21. Do I need college to be a pilot? And
yeah,
I just think this is one of the most fun topics when it comes up, when people realize what we do. And oh yeah, we host a podcast on inspiring young people into aviation and how to get through all your certificates and ratings in the fastest, cheapest means possible, blah, 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 blah. Well, this comes up to these young folks. I just had my youngest son. They did a career day thing, and he was at Cincinnati State here in town. They have a pilot program.
Yeah.
And he was talking to him about going to college and blah, 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 blah. And my son was like, well, my dad says I don't need college to be a pilot. And so he's telling this to his college counselor, but
that's perfect.
It's so true. I mean, it is so true. And I think it's just the right amount of controversial topic that it makes me want to talk about it, because I know all the facts and I'm hot and heavy in it. And, anybody working for Purdue University or Embry-Riddle certainly doesn't want to hear any of this, but it's just the facts.
It is.
If you go to college out of high school and spend 4 years going to an actual university, whether they have a flight program or not, you are literally throwing away $2 million in career earnings. So it is so important to not do that. Get your butt through flight training as quickly as possible to get the job. And if it's important to you to have that piece of paper, you can do that sitting in hotel rooms on your computer, taking night classes if you want to go to a physical classroom. But you don't need to waste 4 years sitting away at some university, not focusing on flying.
Totally. Well, that's a great list. I hope everyone enjoyed watching our greatest hits, because that sincerely is
the greatest hits.
Yeah, we do love doing this. And then, if you have an exciting story you want to share, make sure you email us. And then, subscribe to the channel, like the videos. We love it. Try to go back, watch some of these. If you like them, and, share them with other people if you think they can help them. But we really appreciate it. If you want to join our live coaching, I think you'll really like it. You get to meet Sean and I personally. Most weeks, both of us are on the call. We can answer any of your questions. It's really pretty inexpensive. So check out our website.
Pro Pilot Playbook.
Yep.
ProPilotPlaybook.com.
Yep.
And we also have an app. You can check out our app in the App Store, where you can get to all this stuff as well. But thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us for the 100 episodes. This means a lot. Yep. If you guys weren't caring about this, we would have stopped it a while ago. Yep. So thank you, everyone.
Safe travels, guys. Thanks.